Greetings, Patrick here, Eight Questions With, and welcome to the first show of the week. That's right, we are here. It is a pleasant, a chilly, a chilly night, but it was a beautiful day here in southeastern Michigan. The snow is almost melted. The ice is pretty much gone on the roads. And I got to go to the library for the first time in 3 weeks. I had not gone the previous 2 weeks because of the weather. The weather has been really uncooperative, as far as it being sub-zero. And they did not put out anything on the shelves till today. And I went today, and we had a lot of fun. Up, I picked up some really cool stuff, some TV series, including 6 out of the 7 seasons of Star Trek. Deep Space Nine, which is my favorite Star Trek series. So I was really happy about that. Now it gives me hope. I might yet still find the fifth and final season of Person of Interest. I still might find that. Today, this interview was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago with our friend Mitch Laing. Mitch has been on the show before, and we were supposed to talk about his new movie, Sea of Madness, and but Mitch got sick, and so he sent the mermaid in his place. He said, I can't do it, but I'm sending you my mermaid. So he did. He sent us his mermaid, Red, and we had a delightful talk with her, and great conversation for her with her super sweet young lady. And then we rescheduled Mitch for tonight. And Mitch will be coming on here, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of Sea of Madness, which is going to be, uh, which I have a copy of it, but I don't do reviews of movies of folks before I interview them. Uh, I've been asked that like 5 or 6 times. I've been sent movies from filmmakers, and they want me to look at their movies, and I'm all about that. But as far as doing a review for a film, I'll never do that until I do an interview. If I hooked up an interview with you, I'm gonna do that first. It's just more ethical that way. It's more ethical that way. And I learned a painful lesson about that too. So for some of those filmmakers who wonder, well, how come you haven't seen my movie before we talked? It's not that I haven't seen your movie before we talked. It's just like I'm not going to talk about it as far as a review goes before we talk. Um, that's it. That's all. So we will be talking about Sea of Madness today. Mitch he is based in Louisiana, um, and there's a lot of talent in Louisiana, as we've already noted. Not only Mitch and Patricia, but makeup artist Bre Hill is down there, and just a lot of seems to be a lot of activity going down there in the South in Louisiana, and movies are being made. I know some other filmmakers down there as well that have done several creature feature films down in Louisiana. That's a great place to shoot. It's a perfect. You can't ask for a more swampy, more creature feature inviting atmosphere to shoot a movie, and then in Louisiana. All right, so this is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm glad Mitch is here. He's always a good time. And hey, look, everybody's coming in. I just looked over my chat. I'm sorry I didn't see you guys all come in. Um, that's right. Al Lucard is also a film reviewer, and as a lot of people are, but you're right. Al's a very fine reviewer as well. Um, we also had last week, man. We had a week of shows last week. We had Mike Zahara from Did You See That? We had Frank Marino Boyd came in last week. Um, that was another terrific interview. We've been on a roll as far as that goes, as far as getting the guests come on in and talk. We have two more great shows this week to close out February. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we'll be talking with English actor Alex Butler. Will be here with us at 3 o'clock, and we'll be talking to him about his career. We talked with him last year, and he was just getting up and running. And I looked at his credit list, and he has over 20 credits already, and he really just basically started. So, really, really a talented actor, and he'll be here tomorrow at 3 p.m. There will not be a nightcap show tomorrow. There will not be a show tomorrow night. We're doing our show in the day. On Thursday, we have Stephanie Ward will be with us. She is an actress and cosplayer, and she is making a movie called let's see, Nightmare at Nana's, which is being filmed in all places. And I was thinking about this, and I was looking at the previews. I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody yet who's done a film in Vermont. I have not. I don't believe I've talked to anybody yet that's done a film in Vermont. But there you go. Um, Stephanie is will be there, and we'll be talking about her career and making her film. I watched the pitch trailer for it. Looks great. Looks great. And and not only is Stephanie an actress, she, like I said, she's also a cosplayer. And if you saw the picture I had before we went on the well, if you go to my channel, you scroll down to see upcoming live shows, you'll see her in one of her outfits, and she looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. So she'll be here on Thursday at our regular normal time at 8 p.m. And then next week we are back at it. Um, yeah, we're talking about I was watching Kenny and Sean and Jim. They're talking about guilty pleasures, movies that are guilty pleasures, and it's that's a really interesting topic. I guess really what it means is guilty pleasures are really bad movies that you like that nobody else really does. Um, uh, hey, there's Hobbs. He's killing me with that emotion. Yes, we'll be talking about another fine motion picture today. Um, and yeah, dude, let me know, Hobbs. Let me know if you want to do a trade, man. I'll trade you for the cell, man. I'll trade you something for that. If you want to, anyway. So greeting and salutations to everybody, he says. I'm not sure at the midnight hour who's supposed to be doing their 200th episode. I'm not sure if it's going to happen this week, but there is going to be a big 200th 200th anniversary show. Michael says he likes The Happening. I really want to like that too. I watched it finally. I finally watched that movie, and no fault of the people in the movie, but man, oh man, the poor writing on that movie just absolutely destroyed it. I mean, it's really, really poorly written. Um, People doing things that make no sense at all, no logic at all. I tried. The two people that actually knew what was going on, they knew what was happening, and yet their characters were just forgotten about. The husband and wife scientist team, and they knew exactly what was happening. And next thing you know, they disappear, and that's it. They're not seen again. It's just like, wow, it's just really, um, yeah. I wanted to like it. Um, I mean, Mark Wahlberg tried his best. But sometimes movies will happen that way. Sometimes they have the best of intentions and then they just falter. Um, so the guilty pleasures of movies like people just like what the hell, like The Happening. Um, Me personally, I mean, I have a few of those. There's been some movies that I watched that people are like, oh, man, what the hell? What are you watching? And it's like, well, um, I watch a lot of black and white. I watch a lot of public domain movies. Of course, a ton of independents. I watch a ton of independents. Um, and which I will say this though, it does seem to be going. It does seem to be happening already in the terms of independent filmmakers sending out press kits. I'm just not getting those anymore at all. All I'm getting is screeners. They used to be you could get a DVD or whatnot, even a burned one, and we're just not getting those anymore. Um, I don't. I think that's pretty much because, and I would tell any filmmaker, it's like, listen, if you're gonna send out 25 hard copies of your movie, you got to send out the 25 hard copies to the 25 places that you feel like you're gonna get the most eyeballs on. And so that's why I say, don't necessarily send it to us or send it to me, right? Because I don't have that many eyeballs. And I will definitely talk to you about your film, and I'll get you on the show. And we'll talk about it. We'll interview you. I'll interview you. But as I'm telling you, if you have a copy of your movie there, and you have a chance to send it to me or you send it to Fangoria, I'm going to tell you to send it to Fangoria because you have a better chance of being seen by a much wider audience. Even though that might be it could be a turkey shoot. You don't know if they'll watch your movie, they'll comment on it, they'll talk to you about it. And you're just taking a gamble. But I think it's a gamble worth taking to get more eyeballs on your movie. And we're going to be talking to Mitch about that as well. Let's see. Let's see. Hoff says no date determined for 200. We will announce it when we do. Thank you for the shouty. Yeah, you don't want to be gone too long. People are they're they're sending me messages going like, "What's going on with this? Where's the 200th episode?" Um, I said, "Hey, they might be waiting till Jamie Hart gets home." Jamie had a procedure done, and there is a slim chance that she could be home tomorrow. She might be coming home tomorrow. She was hoping to come home today. But I think it's going to be tomorrow. I guess she had a procedure to unclog arteries. So that's never painful. My dad told me about that. All right, Mitch is here. So we are going to be talking mermaids. We're going to be talking mermaids. We're going to be talking Bogman. We're going to be talking all about creature features, and away we go here. All right.
Howdy.
Hey, what's going on, Mitch?
Going well. How are you, bud?
Good, good. Did you bring the mermaid?
It was really tough to wrangle her out of the ocean. We try our best.
Oh my gosh, man. Like I said, we're gonna use that line forever and a day. Anything you do, hey, let's come on to the show. Let's talk about my new movie, and I'm gonna be sitting there saying, hell yeah,
What about the mermaid?
yeah, but bring the mermaid with you, man.
Hey, I sent her. I did send her.
You did. You were pretty sick there, I hear.
Oh yeah, it was 3 weeks of back to back stuff. Like, because I got 2 young boys, and they're just germ factories. And so the first week we all had upper respiratory infections, and then the second week we all had COVID, and then the third week we all had the flu, and that was the week of the last interview. And I felt like I was just this close to death all week long.
Uh-huh. Yep. You're still you're the only director I let do that too. You will always be able to do that on my show. You will be the only one. You are the only one I will do that with.
I feel so honored. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, man, that it's still like when people say, "What are some of your favorite memories?" I share that story about how your first interview with me. Oh my god, man, I felt bad. I felt so bad. But wow, what a wonderful personality Red was.
She's so great, isn't she?
Yes. Now that's how, I mean, it's funny because it's like it does seem like the whole new wave of screen queen actors that we're getting now. Like Jessa and Pat and Morgan. They're all coming from dance backgrounds, or more spicier backgrounds, and they're coming from there.
Well, it's kind of tough out there to be a lady and be in the entertainment business. I mean, you're pretty limited on things you can and cannot do right from the get. So, the ones that utilize every tool in the toolbox, especially in the beginning, those are the ones that usually, move up, because that's just kind of the way the system's designed for them. Unfortunately, I don't like that, but that is kind of how it is. And I'm just hoping that maybe, that will change in the future.
I think so, because I'm already looking at Jessa and I'm looking at Morgan, and I'm just saying to myself, I'm just thinking, they're two rising stars. There are two that are on their way up, and pretty soon it's almost to the point where you think that they're going to probably have to make a decision, because they're so sought after now. A lot of actors, I mean, a lot of directors are wanting them to come onto the projects. They're starting to bring heads with them. When you put them on the front of the movie, people are going like, I'm going to go buy that. I'm going to go watch that. I'm going to talk about that.
We
And
just got done filming with Jess this past Sunday, and
right.
her and Mr. William Enstone drove in from Austin. He's the gentleman that did the Butcher's Bluff film that's getting ready to be released next month. So, free plug, go check it out. It's an amazing movie, an amazing director, and he is a fantastic actor. And him and Jessa and all their scenes together were just, you couldn't buy that chemistry, was the phrase I kept saying on set.
I think that what it is. I just think they're natural performers already, because you got to be sort of a natural performer to go out there and dance.
Well,
You need some.
well seasoned actress. Like, she's like has done so many films at this point in time. Like,
Mhm.
she has been battle tested over and over again and continues to constantly work. So her acting is only going to get better and better. I'm not saying that it's bad now. It's fantastic now. Like, she
No.
did a great job, but she's only going to get better. Like, the next time we do work with her in a few years, she's probably going to be at the next level of acting by then,
That's what I'm calling that already. I'm calling for Jessa and also Morgan. I'm calling them out for that. I think they're on the way up. I think they're rising.
Yep.
Um, let's see. Everybody's saying hello. See, Zachary's here. Hi, Zachary. How are you? Let's see. Let's see. Hops is there. Okay, let me catch up with my chat here. He's okay. Okay, not rushed or anything. Has to be on point. Okay, that's well worth it. The 200th episode of the Midnight Hour. There you go. Yeah, it's fun. It's really sort of fun, and even for male actors, of course, any actors, or even or director too. To sit there and such as yourself, here we are. We watched the Bogman, and now we watched the Sea of Madness, and you're moving forward. Every movie that you're doing is becoming. It's a little bit more. There's a little bit more money in each production. There's a little bit more behind it, because it's like you're proving yourself. You're proving you can make a movie on time, within or under budget, and have it get well reviewed, well received. And it makes your job all that much easier, when you want to go shoot, when you want to get a location. Oh, well, instead of someone saying who, they'll sit there and say it's Mitch Laing. Well, hell yeah, let's work with him. He's already got some movies underneath his belt. He's easy to work with. And so it's fun watching that too. It's like fun watching when will the next movie that you drop be the one that breaks you out.
I mean,
Um,
honestly, we're excited about all of them. The next one that's about to be released will be released around July, August of this year. It was a movie that we didn't even like intend to make. It just kind of happened, because we've been working on the Bog anthology since we finished Sea of Madness, and we were filming a short for the Rake cryptid, and once I got into editing to it, I realized that we had filmed just so much stuff that this was beyond a short. You know, we couldn't put this in an anthology. It's just too long, but it wasn't quite an hour yet. And we spoke to Green Apple about it, and they said, "Man, just film some extra stuff for it, and we'll just take that as a separate movie and release it as its own thing. And y'all can give us Bog Anthology later on in the year, and we'll release that, you know, November, December." So I'm like, all right, let's do it.
And now, how far along is your cryptid movie?
The Rake film,
Yeah.
it ended up being like an hour and 15 minutes altogether once we added the extra stuff. We decided to go full The Office route and film, since this is like an episode of the new cryptid show of the team. We decided to do a bunch of interviews with the people, you know, kind of like the Office style of Talking Heads, and we so many more funny jokes and like good character development out of that. That now we were all like, man, I'm glad we did it this way. This is a much better story like this.
It would have been a lot of fun. It would have been a lot of fun if for that. In fact, I say this to anybody if they're doing a cryptid film, man, if there's some way you could snuggle, if you could go ahead and make contact with Nicole Sullivan or Phil Morris and have them, even if they do a phone call, boy, that would be cool as hell. That would be a fucking great Easter egg.
Now, we did have an Easter egg in the Rake film that I'm very proud of. We had Mr. Keith Crabtree, who played the Bigfoot in The Legend of Boggy Creek, not only agreed to do a cameo in it, but he took us out there to the cabin where the Bigfoot attacks the sisters and the baby. They took us out there to that cabin, so we actually filmed his scenes in front of that cabin. And it was, for me personally, it was like a bucket list item, because The Legend of Boggy Creek was a film that I watched a whole lot growing up as a kid. So to be friends with that guy and then like him be like a member of the family and him bring us out there and take care of us, it was a really awesome, surreal moment. It's like being a Batman fan and then making friends with Michael Keaton.
Right. And again, it's like also too, it's cool the fact that you're now able to go out there and reach out for somebody like that. Whereas before, newcomer, you might not be able to have the confidence to go out there and, even though the worst that could happen is he says no. But a lot of people would be intimidated, like I can't go out there and ask this guy to do this, who am I? But now that you got some movies underneath your belt, you got some productions underneath you. Now you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna go ask him. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
And
I'll show him what I've done so far and see what he thinks.
The whole reason why he like took to us is because he really did like the Bogman. And he actually gave us like a Bigfoot trophy where he was like, we're passing the Bigfoot mantle on to y'all. And he allowed us to make The Legend of Boggy Creek part of the BCU canon, as in like the Falk town is like 45 minutes away from Mountain Bend, Arkansas. So they're letting us connect the universes that way. So that's
very cool. So yeah, world building is, I think world building I think it's cool, when it's done right, but it has to be respected.
Yeah.
And it can't be forced. It just, that seems like a natural progression and the story. And it helps you as well. It helps you when you go forward. And if you want to stay in that universe, now you have even more layers. You put yourself into that universe, solidly. Like, yes, I'm part of that. Whereas a lot, you managed to do something cool. Whereas a lot of people who do fan film, when they could, it's, God, they love fan films. They love, but they're still not canon.
The challenge of doing a 10 movie franchise is you have to constantly think ahead. Like every idea that you have for what you're shooting and working on now, how is that going to affect the 6th movie or the 8th movie? Like, can we put something in here now that we can tie in to a couple of movies down the road that people can look back at that and go, oh man, yeah, that was for that. Oh, but they were thinking that far ahead, you know. And
Right.
we constantly think like that.
Now, the one you're making now, the rake is already is that wrapped already? Is that in post production? Is
Yeah,
that locked in? Okay.
we're,
Now,
we're all
no, go ahead.
we're almost done with the Foley and the special effects. And once we're done with that, it's done, and we'll probably have it turned in by April. And
Now, who'd you have do the effects for this movie? 'Cause I think we talked a little bit about this last time you were here, and I know that the I know for Sea of Madness you could not get Bre. Is Bre
yeah,
back for this one? Is Bre back for the rake?
Bre did come back for the rake, and Miss Jeanette came back for the rake. They both worked together in tandem on the rake.
Awesome,
So it
awesome.
was both worlds.
Yeah. Oh, you must have been relieved. You must have been super relieved.
Well,
Um,
it was like the crew and the cast were amazing. The thing that was really difficult was we shot the movie over the course of 4 different shoots, and some of those shoots were months apart. So like when the first shoot was in April, and then the next shoot was in August, and that August shoot in Louisiana, it was like 100 degrees every day that we were filming, and it was all outside. Nothing was inside for any reason except for inside of a van, and it was even hotter inside the van because you couldn't have the air conditioning running or anything like that for sound. So it was just incredibly hot, and we did have a house that was home base, but the space, the window units, the air conditioning units didn't show up until like 8 p.m. the first day. So we spent the first 8 to 10 hours of the day with no place that we could go to get any kind of reprieve except for our cars. And so it was a very challenging shoot as far as like the elements went, but everything else was very, very smooth, even despite the terrible conditions. Even Mr. Larry Schultz from Hawaii 5 flew in from Hawaii and came out there, and we asked him, so how do you feel about this Louisiana weather? He's like, it feels like the jungles of Hawaii in here.
okay. Now, who's Larry Schultz?
He's an actor and an art department specialist. He's any production that has ever been done at Hawaii over the past 20 something years, he is a part of it, whether it's in behind the scenes helping make stuff or acting on screen.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I know that there was one series they were doing an NCIS series out there, and it got the hook a couple of years ago, and I thought that would be the last thing they're doing out in Hawaii, so I wasn't sure of his name.
Right now,
Um,
I've been working on the Lilo and Stitch live action movie, and the I think America's Got Talent or one of those singing shows are out there filming right now. So he's working on that.
mm, mm. So let's talk a little bit about Siren. Now I do believe last time we talked, you were still shooting it, and I know it's locked, and it's I mean you sent me a copy of it, and I definitely am going to tell you what I'm going to cover that. I just don't do reviews of films before I talk to the people I'm talking with. I don't want to do that. Because when you interview somebody before if you review their movie before you talk to them, and for some reason if you don't like their movie, because sometimes it does happen, and then you're really stuck on a pitch. You're sitting there going like, I didn't like the movie, but now I got to talk to the film director.
Well,
It puts us everybody in a really awkward position. So I
even
don't
though
do
interviews don't ever really bother me, because all of this is it's all art, and art is subjective. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are indifferent, and the ones that want to watch it will watch it, and the
Well,
ones
the
that don't.
scenes that I saw, I did like. So, I mean, there's that. I mean, and I'm very excited to, I am very excited to watch, to see Jessa again and to see how well Patricia did. I mean, it's like it's her first. I think this is her first real movie.
It,
Um,
first where she had multiple scenes and had to be there multiple days.
Let's see. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Glad you're here. Zachary is here. Zachary Aaron Cox is here. And he says, when can we expect another studio album from your other art form? So he must be saying your music side of you.
I am, because I know why he's asking that, because the crew that I have is so talented and so amazing, and a lot of them are musicians, and whenever you are on a film shoot, sometimes, beyond your control, you're just kind of sitting around waiting, and there's some things you just can't, you just got to wait, and we're going to be here for a couple hours. So let's try to fill the time. So a lot of us start just talking music and showing each other like guitar riffs and stuff. And like over the course of a couple of months, we just pieced all the elements together and recorded like a little 5-6 song metal rock EP. And I know he's heard it, and he's asking me when I'm going to release it. And I just,
Are you thinking about Are you thinking about putting it? Are you thinking about putting it in one of the movies?
Oh yeah, definitely, because I mean it's free music, but just we haven't yet, and I just I don't really have a whole lot of extra time for music. It's a bummer because music was such a big part of my life for so long, but this movie stuff keeps us beyond occupied, and every little thing that I do that's not movie related has to be like a calculated, it either has to be super calculated, or it has to be just something done right then and there in the moment on a lark. And so it's difficult to balance sometimes.
Now, now when we were here last time, we're going to sink our teeth into this a little bit, along with more Sea of Madness. But you have decided to do the 10 movies. You decided to create a massive world building. You're going to be making a gigantic world, and we were talking about how oh gosh, okay, Joe Lujan did that. And he had done a great. I forgot, right? Sorry, Joe. But he had done the same thing, and he had done multiple movies within the same universe. Like we're
Yeah,
talking, I think he's done like I want to say he's done like 15 or 16. I
damn.
think, yeah. I mean, his whole universe is established, and he said that he was wrapping it up. He's going to wrap it up and move on to something else. And I'm thinking, man, that's 15 movies. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's, professionally talking. That's pretty much what you've created, and to be able to shut the door on that world and all those memorable characters. That's just got to be just an absolutely. Are you gonna be able to do that? Are you gonna be able to do that without looking over your shoulder, saying, maybe I got one more left in me?
I,
Um,
I think I think that all filmmakers are like that. I think that because I feel the same way. Like I've thought about that. Like what's going to happen once we get done with all 10 of these movies? Like what's? I mean, I know what we have plenty of movie ideas and scripts, so it's not like we're going to be hard up to figure out what we're going to do next. But yeah, I know that I myself personally, that I know that after 10 years I'd be thinking, you know what, I think we can get one more for this universe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like musicians whenever they want to do that one more album or that one more tour. Like you might, you spend so much time doing one specific thing that not only kind of becomes your bread and butter, financially, but creatively. Yeah, I think you're always going to be looking over your shoulder, even with all your other stuff. Like, even whenever you're doing other things, something about that might spark an idea, like it's creativity is a strange thing.
well, you roll it into the Bogman anthology. Anthologies, we were talking about this last time too. Anthologies, man, that is, that doing anthology is such a beast. Now, I think last time we talked, you said that you were going to handle the whole production as far as directing all the stories within it.
Well,
Um,
no.
did you change your mind about that?
Well, yeah, because Daniel Stark wrote the second short, Face the Music, and
Oh,
he had a very, like, directing is all about vision, and if you have a clear vision of what you see in the story and what you want in the story, it's always best to follow that instinct. So Daniel came on as like a co-director. Like, there were scenes that he would just direct by himself, and there were scenes that I would direct by myself. There were scenes that we directed together. It worked very well. To be honest with you, we just shot, like I said, this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it was, once we got on set, before the week leading up to it was just a parade of chaos. But once we got to the shooting time and we started setting up to get to work and do business, like, it was the most efficient, easy shoot that we've ever done as of now, And I do know that that has to do with, we've done so many shoots together with this team at this point that everybody just knows what to do. Everybody knows exactly what's expected. And it's the setup times have been just a breeze. And even when we're acting with actors that have never done really anything before, the positive energy of the crew usually rubs off on them, and we end up getting much better performances. And it was just a really good time.
I like the idea, and I think it's a smart one too, and because basically an anthology that's written and directed by the same person, it isn't an anthology. It's a non-linear story. It's not really, I would call it an anthology, but it's six stories about six different things. It's yes, but it's by one director, one writer.
Yeah, and that's
It's
also
like a
part of the reason
circle.
why I had asked Toby Otero, because Toby Otero actually is the director of the Rake movie. uh, I had asked him to come and direct that because I had a whole lot of acting that I had to do in that story, and I needed somebody that would not only come at it with a neutral point of view, but also has very similar sense of humors and problem solving skills that I do. So Toby was who I had brought in to direct The Rake back whenever it was a short in the Bog anthology. But then it grew, and next thing you know, he was like, "So Mitch, I accidentally directed my first full length feature with you." I'm like, "I know, man. Like, it just happens that way." Um,
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
uh,
had he ever shot anything beforehand?
nope. He had directed some plays in dinner theaters and stuff like that, but this was his first film.
Dinner theaters. Now, are those coming back to where you're at? Are those are you seeing a comeback of that? A dinner
Well,
theater?
there's been dinner theaters around here in Monroe. There's a couple of different dinner theater troupes.
Yeah.
Uh, that work out of different establishments and restaurants all around town. So, yeah, there for the past number of years, there's been constant dinner theaters.
Yeah, it seems like it's coming back lately. Um, it says any Easter eggs or surprises with the yeah, are you gonna be dropping any Easter eggs in the Bog anthology?
Oh yeah, it's chock full of Easter eggs. In fact, like the last short of the thing is we're set like the second short we're setting up the honey hole movie with the evil Jinn. The third short, we're setting up the Alien movie, and we're setting up another character from the Honey Hole to lead into the Honey Hole movie, since that's the next one after the Bog anthology. So it'll have like a smooth transition straight from one movie to the next, basically.
Are you doing voiceover for that? Or I mean, are you doing are you doing a wraparound story, or are you doing a narration for
Oh, it's there. There's a wraparound story. The wraparound story centers around the Bog family from the Bogman. Um, they're kind of the linchpin that starts off every story and then is the last story moving into Honey Hole.
Now, you mentioned before about keeping it really light. As far as it goes, I mean, you're keeping it, like more like a horror comedy. Do you plan on doing that for the, now that you're basically are 3 movies or 4 movies into the 10? Are you going to change anything like that, or are you just going to try to keep the same sort of atmosphere throughout
Um,
the whole storyline?
we might do different facets of horror and change ups. Like, the Honey Hole is more of a suspense thriller movie. But yes, we are never gonna stray away from the comedy, because that's just like, we're always laughing and making jokes in between takes and stuff like that. And like, it's just really hard for us not to throw in a joke there, or not to do something, that'll make you snicker right here. Like, it's I don't think that we could do it, to be honest with you. I don't think that we could be 100% serious.
Horror had a great year last year. 2024 was just an amazing year for it. A lot of mainstream coverage, a lot of actors are being offered, being nominated for awards. People's writing is being considered for awards or whatnot. And to me, it seems like the bigger the more success horror has moving forward. Do you feel like before, whereas before, when mainstream horror tends to be slow, that's when independent horror seems to thrive the most, is when mainstream studios go underground, like Christ, here we go, we just released another Blumhouse movie that only did $5 million. Maybe we'll just keep it tamped down for a while. Is that a concern? I mean, do you look at the release points of studios and how business is doing before and do you consider that when you're filming your film and when you're going to release it? Because you don't want to get buried. You want your movie to have the most success possible. But if you send it in to say to Fangoria, we sent it to Fangoria last year, chances were probably not very good to get you might get a blurb in the magazine, or in a trade you might get a blurb, but you're not going to get much more of that because they're so busy talking about the bigger movies. Is that a concern for you, going, when you're watching right now horror is having such a huge success? Do you worry about getting lost in the release shuffle? And
Um,
what steps are you taking to make your movie stand out? I mean, a couple more with a couple more movies with, like I said, I think your movies are gonna come. I think your movies are gonna, like, people are gonna come look for your movies. They're gonna come look. Like, once you're, like you said before about Jessa, once she breaks, and she is, once she breaks, people are gonna go back to what you did with her. They're gonna go back and they're gonna buy it. They're gonna want a piece of that. But now, when you got your movies coming out now, like The Rake and this and Sea of Madness, how do you choose to release your film, um towards you get the maximum exposure?
well, I've always kind of looked at us at Open Heart Productions, that we would just be kind of like the Fugazi or Black Flag of the film industry world, where you know we we really like what we do and we have a good thing going. Of course, we want to rise up and do better. We want to stand out and make a name for ourselves. But also at the same time, we really do not pay attention to horror trends. We don't pay attention to movie trends, because really, to us, art and filmmaking in general, we don't care what the standards are. We don't care what people are watching right now. We want to make the movies and tell the stories that we want to make. We want to make the movies that if we were trying to find a movie to watch and we read this or saw this, that's what we would want to watch.
See,
And
That's my point. See, that was my point about before. It's like, like you want to read about it or hear about it, but you know how it is, Mitch. Like right now. I mean, if you and I both went and got a Delirium or a Fangoria and we opened it up, or Dread Central or what have you, all we're gonna see is just nothing but mainstream horror. It's going to be very hard to watch a small independent films get more than a couple of paragraphs. Um, it's like when you release a film, I mean, you have to consider when's the best part to release it. Like I wouldn't want to go nose to nose. I wouldn't release my film against something like a Terrifier 4. You know what I'm saying? If I had a chance to open up my movie, I'm gonna see Terrifier 4 is gonna open up on the week before me. Oh fuck no! I'm taking my ass. I'm moving myself out of there. I'm not gonna be in the crosshairs of that because everybody's gonna be looking at that, and they're and not me. And I want them to look at my movie and my crew and my effort. But
Well,
I don't want to get blown away by that. And I
there,
just want.
there's a
Do you think?
saying, Patrick, that rising tides rise all ships. And yeah, here's the thing: we're not going to be able to even conceivably try to compete with Terrifier because, first of all, even though we're in the horror genre, we're not even in the same building when it comes to the type of movie and story that we're trying to tell. And yes, I do know that there are, a lot of Terrifier fans that, do watch our films,
Mhm.
eventually, and that's fine. Uh, it's like trying to walk up and compete with a giant. I'm not worried about trying to fight that giant. That giant will just kill me. I'm just going to continue on doing the things that I know my fan base will continue to come back to. Like with we've had a lot of views for especially for Bogman over the past since it's been released, and there's people that watch the movie really enjoy it because they see it for what it is, and it's a fun story that you can just lose yourself in even during the wacky times, and you walk away from the movie feeling positive, good, like, oh, that was fun, I enjoyed that. You don't get that same feeling when you walk away from a Terrifier movie. That's just it's a different it's so different that and if you do walk away with that feeling after watching a Terrifier movie, we need to have somebody come and talk to you and give you some kind of professional help. But uh, it's we don't we're not trying to really compete, and that's why we don't pay attention to those type of trends. I know we probably should, but I also know that horror fans are like drug addicts sometimes because I'm a horror fan myself, and whenever I get into it, I get into it. And
Right,
uh,
right.
in my opinion, the quicker that we can get them out to them and get them to them, it's more something for them to enjoy and get high on. It's like this year, 2025 is going to be a big year for us. Releasing 3 movies this year. Sea of Madness came out in January, The Rake during the summer, and then Bog Anthology during the winter. It's like a freaking MCU release schedule, and
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
and when we're trying to hit it in the big areas that we know people go and watch movies, summertime and wintertime. But the thing is our movies aren't going to be in theaters. That's not a thing that we have to worry about competing with. It's
Hopefully, hopefully, do you think you could probably do that? Because you're still living in Monroe, right, Louisiana?
Yep.
They got theaters there. Have you is that something that I think I'm not sure if we talked about this last time or not, but is there
We've
any is there any chance for them to show your films during the week?
we've looked at it, and it just financially doesn't make sense for us. I do know that both Bogman and Sea of Madness are going to Fandango very soon, so people can go and check out those movies there to rent and things like that. But I don't know.
Right.
I would love for the films to one day get a theater run. I would love for that. But I'm just trying to think about you know reality, I guess, and like try to be realistic. Because, you know, like at this point in time in the game, I have a very large crew of people, of cast and, you know, actors and crew members. And it's, you know, you have to, it's difficult to keep everybody motivated and keep going. It's not that we're not excited to do it. Everybody's always super excited, but I always worry about, all right, well, what's going to happen when that excitement runs out? What's going to happen whenever the shine goes away? And now whenever you look at my text, you roll your eyes and think, oh my God, oh shit. You know, that's what I'm always scared of and
Yeah,
worried about.
I mean, you're right. I mean, you got a finite amount of crew in your area, and you're still trying to develop even more so. Has there been more activity in around your area in Louisiana as far as filmmakers go? Have they seen your success and decided, hey, if Mitch is kicking ass, why can't I? And have they started trying to get in on the action?
Maybe not so much in Monroe. I know a couple of people have banded together and started working on some stuff, and I'm watching that with great interest and excited to see how that goes. I know that we've spoken to some people in Shreveport about helping them finish one of their films. And there's a gentleman that's making a Rougarou movie in Louisiana, and so I wanted to offer up our services to help him with that too, because you know I just kind of feel like if you're making a creature feature in Louisiana, Open Heart Productions needs to needs to be there somewhere,
Right.
helping you out, because that's our whole thing is we just want to see Louisiana filmmaking grow, and however we can offer our services to help that growth, especially within independence, we're going to do everything that we can to help.
Yeah, I think it's a refreshing take on it too. I mean, help out whenever you can. I mean, you're all there for the same deal, to make the best movie you possibly can and get it out there. How goes wow, some of these questions I asked. How goes the distributing talks? Has that changed at all since last time we talked? Is it something you're able to I mean, you mentioned the Fandango. Was it easy to put those movies on Fandango, or did you have to go through a third party, or what's it? I mean, or did you negotiate it yourself?
No, no, we're still under contract with Green Apple Entertainment, and Green Apple Entertainment, they are our distributors. So everywhere that the movie is released is 100% their doing, you know, like, and apparently what, from what they told me, they said that, you know, it's coming to Fandango and you should be excited about that because they're extremely picky about the movies that they actually accept. And they accepted both Bogman and Sea of Madness. So I was honored by that. And you know, Green Apple is doing a great job on trying to get it out there on as many platforms as possible. They're constantly even working on Bogman. You know, we just got put on the CW app a couple of months back, and that's been super cool because The Flash was always one of my favorite TV shows, and it's really cool to see the Bogman like in my same queue next to The Flash. Like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
So I remember they were trying to run it before. That was called CW Seed. Is that what that is? Is that the banner they're running it underneath?
Whatever the CW app is, like, because I just downloaded the CW app onto my smart TV, and it was just in the main app.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's still pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, it's very very humbling and flattering, especially from our such humble beginnings that we're, you know, none of us are rolling in cash and we barely have enough money to survive, but it's just one of those things that we know that the more that we do it, the better things will become, and the more movies that we get out, the more that the money stacks on top of each other. And
Right.
uh, that way, by the time we get to finishing the 10 movies, we'll have a well-oiled, financially solvent business, you know.
We were talking to other people that talked about we talked about the fundraising, the crowdsourcing, and we've talked about that before, but it does seem to be more and more and more that is now going to be the new norm. I mean, as far as finding angels investors or what have you, that's not going to be nearly as easy as it used to be. Now it's going to be, mostly crowdfunding that moves somebody's, budget. That's where they're going to get their budget from.
Yeah, we're gonna have to turn to some crowdfunding for the Honey Hole film. Because by the time that gets there, we're still going to be waiting for the next round of returns from the film. So it's not going to coincide to where it's going to be able to help us. At, and So we are going to have to utilize some crowdfunding for the Honey Hole. So I am dreading jumping into that world because I've never had to do it before. So it's just another thing that I'm going to have to figure out and learn to do, or find somebody else that knows how to do it and get them to show us how to do it.
Right, right. Uh, what do you like best about? I mean, as far as anthologies go, um, man, how hard has that been to do an anthology versus a feature film? I mean, is it easier to do because you've done short films before, or has it been more difficult to do because you find yourself having, because you basically do have some restrictions because you're trying to keep your anthology within canon. So you have to be, you have to try to stay within in that universe. Has it been hard? Has it been hard to stay there? I mean, like sometimes you can sit there and like, man, this would be just a great science fiction movie. I'm gonna just, next thing you know, you've written 100 pages of science fiction, but maybe it doesn't go with the world you're trying to build. How do you maintain the bog world without expanding it too fast, too much?
That's a really good question. I'll tell you this: what helps is having a team of multiple heads of people that you throw your ideas out to, and within that group, you throw out the bad and you expand on the good. And I think that that's probably the best way to navigate it, is to have, don't try to do it all by yourself. Have multiple heads sitting there with you, so that you can have somebody that knows when to reel you in. Like, no, that's a little, maybe not that. Maybe we go the other direction. And I know that that's how I work the best when it comes to coming up with stories and plot lines and stuff. Is sitting down talking with Daniel and Toby and John, and just throwing ideas out, and something that they say might, it always actually, something that they say will spark another idea. It's like, oh yeah, we can do that and build that down here. Oh, now I know how to bridge this area. Like it makes the process actually much easier, I think, creatively.
I noticed very much um in Sea of Madness, your acting has taken on. You have a huge. You're one of the lead actors in it.
That's
How
you.
hard was it for you to do wear both hats?
Uh, I know you saw my parts in Sea of Madness, but I'm pretty sure what you saw is all that I am in Sea of Madness.
Oh, that was it. The
Yeah.
captain. Okay,
Uh,
because you look like you're just having an absolute ball.
oh, I was. All of my acting parts was some of the funnest that I've ever had in my entire life.
Mhm.
If I could trap myself in a Groundhog Day scenario, it would just be on those days. But yeah, I intentionally took my character out of the story for the most part of Sea of Madness, because I knew that I was going to have to. I knew that the directing part for Sea of Madness was going to be a massive undertaking beyond anything that I've ever tried before, and so I made sure that I had a very limited part, and I filmed uh, my first scene before we started shooting the real movie, and then I filmed my last stuff after we had filmed everything else. It was the last thing we shot for the movie, so that way I could focus on directing the main story and trying to serve it the best that I could.
Now the Bogman, you had the Bogman. I think it was rated R for language per se.
Yep.
Um,
And the blood, there's it's bloody. It's not realistically bloody, but it's a lot of blood.
But for Sea of Madness being with mermaids, is that gonna be a little bit spicier movie?
Yeah, there's a couple of spicy scenes as far as what you're thinking of was.
Was that your first time? Was that your first time shooting that kind of scene?
Professionally, yeah.
Well, what was it like for you?
Just like any other day at the office, everybody was extremely professional, and everybody worked hard, and everybody acted their age, and it was just another shot to me.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Um, so as far as the anthology goes, what's how many more stories do you still got to go into that before it wraps up? Like you said, I think you said you got 3 stories so far. How many are you going to put in? 5 or 6?
No, we're gonna do 3.
3. Oh, okay? You shrank it down a little bit. I think you said you were going to do 5 last time, but 3 is excellent.
Yeah, because here's the thing, so many things about industry standards have just not applied to us for whatever reason that might be. And one of those things is scripts, because the scripts, the industry standard tells you that a page is about a minute of screen time, and so our scripts have always been very short. But like, for instance, the Bogman script was only 71 pages, and that movie was almost 2 hours long. Sea of Madness was only 60 pages, and it was an hour and a half long. Like, every time we write a script, even when we try to pare it down to 30 pages, 25 pages, once we start filming, we realize, oh my gosh, it's taking up so much screen time to do this. Jeez. So it's like even when we try to pare it down, when we go to shoot stuff, it's just like that industry standard just does not ever apply to us. And so we knew that realistically we were only going to be able to put 3 shorts into it, and it still be a digestible amount of time to sit there and watch a movie.
Have you taken the movie on the road anywhere? Have you, as far as showing it, have you taken, like, a Sea of Madness? Have you taken it out of state to show different audiences? And if so, what kind of reception it has been so far?
Sea of Madness has been shown 3 or 4 times, but it's to a public audience, but it's only ever been in Louisiana. It's not that we just as of right now don't have time to go on the road and take anything on the road. All of our weekends are completely engulfed with production meetings and trying to figure out what we got to go get for this one, and now we got to figure out, now we got to get crowdfunding so that we can pay for the next one. So we don't really we normally, the past 2 years, around late summer, early fall, we usually go on the road to Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. And we did that with Bogman and showed the movie there in all those states. And everybody that saw the Bogman, like, there are very few people that have watched it and turned around and looked at me and said, I just hated that, or like, no one's going to say that to my face, but I'm really good at being a fly on the wall and walking around unnoticed because, especially in large crowds, you listen to people talking and you hear their critiques and what they're saying to their friends and stuff like that. And I've never heard anyone trash.
Come back, come back. Oh, there he is. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I
All right.
lose you for a second there, Bubba.
Yeah,
I
just
can't
in time.
hear anything.
Yeah, would you so you did take it on the road then. So you are you planning to take are you gonna plan to take us to Atlanta?
Yes, we are eventually. I've actually been speaking to somebody about trying to get it shown over in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I'm waiting to hear back more information from him once he frees up. But it's all things that, like, everything about Open Heart Productions since we started has been just following serendipity. Like trying whatever the universe provides and presents, we just follow that. So that's pretty much how I'm still looking at it. If it's meant to be, it'll work out, and if not, we'll catch it on the flip side. It's just all of this.
I definitely think it'll go. Somebody's gonna pick it up. Someone's gonna pick it up. I mean, like I said, is that yeah, they'll pick it up because it's because you got a nice cast to it, a real good cast, and you got rising stars in it. People do want to get in on that. People love to get in. That's one thing I'll say about horror people too, horror fans. They really do sort of like to get on the bottom level things to watch it to go up. That's one of my favorite things about doing the show. It's like someone was doing a show on their channel, and they were doing like the 15 best first time directors. I love that idea. Like let's talk about your favorite 15 first time directors. It's a great conversation piece. I
Yeah.
like it. I'm always about that because it's like you always want to see what comes up next. Like what's going to happen after this? What are they going to do after this? And I just I think it's really intriguing. And I like it. Like I said, it worked for Joe Lujan. Joe Lujan, his universe it worked. I mean, what you're doing with the 10 movies, it will work. It will work. That's a
I hope.
long time. It's a long commitment, but it's going to work. And people are really going to want to see what you're doing every year. Now you got 3 movies coming out this year. As you guys get bigger with more success, are you going to slow production rate down to like maybe do 2 a year, and increase the budget a little bit?
Probably. I mean, we didn't intend to release 3 movies this year because The Rake Investigation was a movie that was never intended to exist, but it happened. And who's to say that that won't happen again? So I don't really know how to answer that question because when we first started this journey, we thought that, oh, we'll just work on 1 movie a year, and just do it that way. But that's just not the way that the ride's ended up so far. So who knows? Hopefully, yeah, for everybody's sanity's sake, we would break it down to 2 a year. That seems manageable. But if it's not, then it's not. I've pretty much completely just given myself over to the universe at this point. Like the tornado and parade of chaos is so strong, and it's like, whatever, man, take it.
Now, what have you seen this year in terms of like what was your favorite horror movies that you saw this year? And what are some of the directors that you were like inspired by? And what are some of the worst that you saw out there?
Um, okay. See, the thing is, all of my favorite directors out there are the indie directors like William Enstone. Like he's one of my favorite directors, or the guys up in Indiana that do the Moonlight films. Those are some of my favorite directors and storytellers. They just did. They're working on a Mummy movie right now that I'm very excited to see. They're like us. They release movies, twice a year, and I follow their movies, every time, Um, so a lot of the mainstream horror stuff I really just didn't watch this year. I just didn't for what reason.
Watching mainstream horror, is it inspiring or is it discouraging to watch as a director?
All right, real quick, what was the name of that movie about the religious Saw movie where he traps the two girls into his?
Oh, Heretic.
That one was great. That was a
Yeah.
horror movie that it grabbed my attention from the very beginning and kept me just at the edge of my seat the whole time. I loved that movie. Whoever made that one, masterclass. Yeah, I don't normally like to watch a lot of mainstream horror for inspiration. Just because once again I feel like I'm competing with a giant, and even though I don't even like using the word compete because that's not the way I look at life, like I don't look at life as a competition. I just look at it as we're all trying to survive. We're all trying to
Right.
make our art and make our mark, and I just want us all to succeed. There's enough room for everybody. There's so many people that want to watch stuff. Like
Oh, no doubt
content
about it.
on and on.
We're talking about how I agree with you, and we're talking about how it seems like lately, like the last half a year or so, that like we're starting to get a little concerned for Tubi because Tubi was doing this. When Amazon first started showing movies, they were taking anything and everybody,
Yeah,
and and then eventually they pushed all the lower budget projects. They pushed them out. Now it's hard to get into Amazon. um and then they had Tubi, and Tubi's like opening their arms saying, give me you're hungry, you're poor, you're weak. But it seems like lately that is going away. There's not that many like independent horror, unless it's on Lifetime or what have you. It does seem to be struggling a little bit to find an outlet. I know that the Found channel is out there doing well, but it's just basically on one genre, the found footage genre, and it's great. But I don't know how you run a streaming service all that, even if you have a couple hundred movies, because once you've seen one found footage, you really basically seen them all. You
yeah,
know, it really is that. It's like I mean I love the genre, but once I saw the Blair Witch Project, you're not going to surprise me with anything.
yeah.
You're not going to surprise me with anything. So it's like, do I sit there and I just continue, to watch, the same thing over and over? Um, I hope that Tubi can still fly the independent horror flag rather high, without hurting anybody.
I'll give you a little piece of insider information right now within the industry. One app to look out for and to get and to check out is Folsom TV. Awesome with an F, fucking awesome TV. They have a lot of indie horror titles. They have a lot of mainstream titles. They have a lot of TV titles that are really good. I and a lot of other people within the industry are predicting that Folsom TV is going to be the next Tubi once Tubi shuts down all the independent stuff.
Yeah, it just feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like that's exactly what's going on with Tubi. It's like, before I would flash on there and there'd be like on the front page there'd be like five or six independent films that I never even heard of by people, like, all right, I'm all about adventuresome, but now every time I go on there, it looks like I'm looking at it like a TV guide. All I see is just mainstream Hollywood movies or old TV shows and stuff like that. And it's like, what happened to the independent horror? What happened to the foreign movies? They has they had a really nice thick wedge of good foreign films, and I don't see those very often anymore. I'm just like, it's like, okay, I understand you're free and you're throwing commercials out there and whatnot, but there's a reason why Tubi got so big, and that was because of what they were showing more than necessarily within what they were with what they were charging or not charging.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
hope that they don't.
I would just go check out Folsom TV. That it's a free app to download, and there are foreign films, horror films, westerns. They have many, many genres, and I am I'm calling the shot. I predict that Folsom TV is going to be the next Tubi within the next couple of years.
I like the sound of that. As long as we still have outlets, right?
Mhm.
Now, how are you? How are are you gonna be doing physical release for? Are you gonna be doing a physical release for the Bogman anthology?
Well, as of right now, we are selling physical copies of both the Bogman and Sea of Madness on DVD ourselves through our social media sites. We're working on getting the Bog Universe website ready to release, and you can go and have a full breakdown of all the movies, all the places that it's released, all the different reviewers and YouTubers and things like this that talk about the movie and promote the movie. For each of the films, there'll be a merch shop in the whole nine. Um, Green Apple has still been working on trying to get physical copies of the movie released in some of the mainstream like Target and Walmart, stuff. That's been a very slow, arduous process that I don't really deal with any of that because we do have a non-exclusive merch deal with Green Apple, to where as long as we don't use their logo or designs, we can pretty much sell whatever we want for our stuff. Um, so if you do want a physical copy of any of the movies, you can reach out to us on the social media sites and order your own copy.
Yeah, I'll put your Facebook down in there, and I'll put your Instagram down in the description box, along with the trailers. And so if anybody who's listening to the replay or watching or listening to the replay, you'll be able to just go to the description box down below. And if you want to buy any of Open Heart Productions films, you can do that. Uh, so what's going on with 2025? Well, before I do that, I want to go back to this because, you have a you have a strong eye for talent. You casted Jessa, you got Red going up and running. Um, what three or four actresses and three or four actors right now have really have caught your eye as far as if you had a chance to work with them? Who's right now is on your radar?
People that I haven't worked with that would like to work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, who would you like to work with? I mean, give me like 4 or 5 actors or actresses that if you could get them to do a Bogman movie, who would you like to? Anybody you want, who living, of course. Who would you like? Who would you like to cast?
If I had my pick of anybody in the world that I would want, I really would like to get Jason Lee in a movie. I think that he would play an amazing, snarky asshole producer for the Bog crew to have to deal with and eventually die.
Of course, of course, of course. You got a good guy can play. I mean, a good actor that can play a nasty villain is always beneficial. Um, like especially if they're not really used to it. Like I remember seeing the preview for Heretic. Man, I got to be honest with you, I was blown away. I was so blown away by that. Um, the movie itself didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be more supernatural than what it was. I did it came across more as a mystery for me, a suspense mystery than it was supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
And I was expecting supernatural, and I got mystery and thriller, which is fine, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Um, and he did a good job. He did a good job with that. Hugh Grant,
Yeah.
crazy. First time I think it's the first time he's actually straight out played a villain. Without being snarky. I mean, he played it straight. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
he was terrifying.
all right. Give me a couple more. Give me a couple more actresses and a couple more actors.
Well, one actor that we are supposedly working with this year that I think is super talented and I'm excited to work with him is Joseph Poliquin from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
He's always kind of been like a background character, and we're putting him in the lead in Honey Hole. So I'm very excited to work with him and see what he can do. Same thing with Jason Kirkpatrick from Walking Dead and True Detectives. He came and filmed a couple of scenes for the Bog anthology and a scene for the Honey Hole while he was here. And working with him was a whole new world of experience that we needed to have. And I'm very much looking forward to working with him again. Actress wise, there's this one girl, her name is Mel. I can't remember what her last name is. I remember it begins with an H, but she's worked with Jessa, seen some of the stuff that
Mel Heflin.
Yes. And she's worked with the Moonlight guys as well. And I think she's very talented, and I'd like to work with her.
Yeah, she's very in demand too.
Yeah.
So that would be that'd be very cool. Yeah, I like the idea that I like I said, I do think, I'm not sure of her background necessarily, but I do think like the fresh faces, the fresh faces are coming up, and they're coming up, for Screen Queens, and I love the idea that they are coming up in unconventional ways. It's not just going to college and coming out with a degree and becoming a Screen Queen. It's like, asking actresses to do that, that's sort of hard to do, to come
Yep.
out there and whereas you got raw talent. You go out there and say, okay, we're gonna gut you like a fish. Okay, I know they'll blow your eardrums off, and okay, we want you to go out there and we want you to go out there and kill your whole family in this scene. Okay, I'm down with it. It's like, whatever you want me to do. And they go at it with real gusto and real effort. And then of course the real exciting thing is that to see them improve with every role. You
Yeah.
know, that's, to me, watching Red, talking to Red, I can't wait to see what she does next. I cannot wait to sit there and watch her grow, because she wants to get there. She wants to be there. She wants take that next level, and you just and she, you hear her talk. Like, I want to learn I got to take acting lessons. She knows what she has to do, and she's going to go ahead and make herself do it.
Yeah.
I just think that's refreshing. All right. Anything that we should know about for you heading to the summer, other than the Rake and the Bogman anthology? Are you going to be doing anything else? Are you going to do any conventions? Are you going to be working on any other scripts? What do you plan on doing for the next 4 or 5 months?
Oh man, our schedule for the rest of the year is pretty much already packed. Like, we have some reshoots for the Face the Music short for the Bog anthology that we have to do March 15th. And then a couple of the guys from the Open Heart crew are traveling around the next weekend to go help an indie director over there finish up her movie. And then we're shooting the last short for the Bog anthology at the end of April. And then we'll be in post-production for Bog anthology and the woman's film that we're helping out in Shreveport, Minden area from pretty much May until July, whenever the Rake comes out. And then whenever the Rake comes out, we're going to start working on post-production for Honey Hole, because we are trying to shoot that whole movie in October of this year. And then after that, we're in post-production throughout the rest of the year on that. So our 2025 is pretty much booked up.
See, Tom mentions here, Tom Baker says, I'm a big fan of the late Larry Cohen. He was the first modern do-it-yourself, low-budget horror directors. Yeah, there was a lot of good horror directors, a lot of low-budget horror directors back in the 60s and the 70s, very much so. And even today, there's a lot of young talent coming up that are directing horror films. So I'm I think it's great. I think it's great.
Another name that I just thought of just now that I want to, that's newer that I've worked with that I think has a lot of talent and should be someone that people will be on the lookout for. Brent Wayne Rogers, he played the professor in Sea of Madness, and he's coming back and playing a French merchant in the Bog Manifest short. And he is such a dedicated actor to his characters, and he really cares about the characters. He puts a lot of thought into who they are, and they're always the exact opposite of him personally, which is also something that I think is really cool. And but I think that he's somebody also that within the next few years should be getting more work.
All right, boys and girls, we have hit our button, so to speak. Mitch, man, always a pleasure to chat with you. Always excited to see what's coming up next. I mean, you are like a one-man army and working very hard to bring Louisiana up front and in front of all our horror fans from around the world here in the United States. And well done, well done.
Listen, the
Uh,
army back behind me. The army is Open Heart Productions. Those cats are the real fucking deal. Every single one of them, down from the boom operator to the guy carrying the lights. That's the fucking army. I'm just the guy that points in the direction and says, "This is where we're heading to. Let's see if we can make it."
Well, looks like, yeah, every good director needs an army, that's for sure. Especially in today's world, you just yeah. I mean, there's so so many so many avenues are being closed. Hopefully, we'll get some new ones opened up, and people can get a chance to watch your creation. All right. Tom is sitting here going like he hit it big with It Lives in 1972. I remember that. And The
Yeah.
Legend of Boggy Creek. You missed that, Tom. One of the actors from Boggy Creek is going to be in the Chronicle or the Rake or the Chronicles.
Hey,
Okay.
filmed it at the cabin at the from the Legend of Boggy Creek.
So it's an extension of The Legend of Boggy Creek, which is very exciting. Yeah, I can't remember if I've ever seen a Larry Cohen movie. I'm sure I have. I know during the 70s and 80s there was a lot of low budget hits, and that I know their names once I hear them. Like I know, I think Joe Spinelli. I remember him. Um, but um, but yeah, I want to go ahead and thank Mitch for coming and hanging out with us. The chat, thank you guys so much. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. We're back tomorrow. We're heading over to the UK to hang out with our good friend, the big man, Alex Butler. He looks like a young Hagrid. He looks like he does. He looks like a young Robbie Coltrane. It's like I just want to. I just probably is my first question. It's like, so have they started calling you Hagrid yet? Because you look damn like him. Um,
Uh,
and then yeah, he
that.
does. He looks just like him. And then Thursday, the 27th at 8 o'clock, we'll be back for our regular scheduled time, and we'll be talking with actress and cosplayer Stephanie Ward, and she'll be here at 8 o'clock, and she is making a film up in a state that I have yet to hit. I have yet to hit here. This will be our first show from this wonderful state of Vermont, and they will be talking about their new movie coming up called Nightmare at Nana's. And I've seen the pitch film for that, and it actually looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of fun, and that we'll be talking with her on Thursday. Uh, Otherwise, that is it for us. Hopefully by tomorrow, I will announce our new how we'll announce our new Clash of Titans. Supposed to be on the 16th, and we're also supposed to be doing one on the 23rd or the 22nd. We'll also try to do one on the 23rd. Stay right where you're at, Mitch, and to everybody else in the chat. Thank you so much for coming out, and thank you for your support, Cheryl, Hobbs, Tom, and Zachary. Thank you so much.
Zach,
James Hill, thank you so much. Um, yeah, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Peace. All right. Let me click this off here and get us out of here. Ta-da!